What is the total allocation for cohort 0? Like what are we giving away total?
3 ETH, so 1 ETH fee piece.
Okay, so that, okay. 3 ETH.
I'm kind of like triple tasking right now, so I'm going to pay half attention, but I'm here.
So yeah, in that case, essentially, because we were going to do 2 distributions, it would be 0.5 ETH, and then the second distribution would be based on the Coordinape round.
Yeah, so half an ETH initially, and then, correct, the other 1.5 ETH would be distributed via Coordinape.
Cool. The second thing I wanted to just hammer out real quick is the timeline. So let's say week 0, meaning like the day the application's open, right? Oh, and I'm sorry, do you want to record, Myco, or? Oh, you are, okay. Second thing was, yeah, so the timeline, week 0 applications are open. Now the initial grants doc says 2 weeks, so we keep the application period open. But I know we had some, discussion about that a couple of meetings ago. Are we fine with that then? Just keep it open for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think we're wanting to set an application number limit, right?
Yeah, I know we've been back and forth on that, but
I would probably not cap it. I mean, do you guys really think we'll get hundreds? I mean, because I kind of think we'll get like dozens.
That's what I think.
It depends on where we advertise it.
Correct.
Like,
but under like just
CB was, it was kind of funny, like the one conversation a while back, we were like, okay, cool. So we'll just put it out there in the Discord server and we're good. And then it was like at the end of that meeting, it's like, well, I mean, we're going to say something on Twitter, we gotta, because I mean, and I get it, right? It's about the social capital. You want to capitalize on this. So, but it depends on how we do it. Like, so if we put it on Twitter, I mean, I think, like, who knows? Anyway, yeah, we can just not cap it. See what happens. If we get too many applications to read, then we'll just randomize, our selection for the finalists and call it good.
Well,
but don't you expect really though, like even like say that you got hundreds, just somehow, or say 125, right? I mean, even then, like sorting through those initially, I think because the amount of data per application is not overwhelming, right? I mean,
Right.
I don't expect it to be more than a page of total information. Do you? Maybe 2?
No, and I think that we can
No,
scroll through, just 1 or 2 of the fields to vet most of them.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So
Yeah.
even if, I don't know. I mean, of course, like the fear is you get like 700, which would just be, amazing, right? But like then you're totally effed,
yeah.
But yeah, I would.
I
not
mean, I
cap
was just gonna say, on average, like on Twitter, like you said, I think just posting a tweet, not doing a whole bunch of tagging and posting on, cross posting and all that stuff, but just announcing it. I mean, most of the tweets, like the hoodie and stuff, got like 20 shares, 60, 70 likes, and then you have to assume, obviously, that not everyone who's lurking is going to interact with a post, but I think I'd much rather have a worst case scenario where we get too many applications than just say, oh, sorry guys, we have an overwhelming interest, we need an extra week or something. But at least to me, I'm really to me, that's the fun part. Like, that's not even going to feel like work to me, is reading through all these awesome applications. Obviously the beginning of filtering, like they clearly, it's either spam or they didn't even fill it out. Obviously that part is work, just to filter. But actually reading everyone's ideas, that to me is exciting, and the fun part. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with receiving lots of applications because I think that data is really valuable. And whatever we have to do to vet them is fine. Yeah, to select
Yeah,
like
so we
the
say
semifinalists.
then officially then it'll be a Discord announcement and then a non, cross post tag fest Twitter announcement. It's just a plain tweet, right? Is
Yeah,
that
that's what we agreed upon last week.
okay? Any objections to that, Hero? Does that sound good?
You have to tell me one more time. I'm sorry.
Oh, for the official announcement, they're gonna make we're gonna use Discord, make the announcement in Discord, and then on Twitter it'll just be a plain tweet, not a whole bunch of like tagging or cross posting or anything like that. Just a plain tweet announcement.
Yeah, you just need to make sure CB is clear, just because he controls the Twitter handle.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that. I mean, if I were tweeting it, I'd probably. I mean, who would you tag would be the question, really, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Bankless?
Bankless.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, but wouldn't we want to tag all them? I mean, just the regular people. Is that just like too much outside the ecosystem of what we're trying to limit?
I thought so.
I just think we could spend all the time smashing our heads against who to tag and who not, and I just wouldn't worry about it too much and let CB do his thing.
Yeah, fine with me. I just wanted to make it like official done deal. So I guess I'll post this to CB. Just say, hey, can you give us a preview of what your announcements are going to be like? That's all I'll ask. Like, hey, can you preview the announcements so once we're ready to launch, they're already written out, and then we just boom do it. How about that?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. All right. I'll put that in my to-do. Okay, so anyway, back to the timeline. So week 0, applications are open. After 2 weeks, applications close, and then we have a 1 week period for review and deliberation, right? Like evaluation of all the candidates. Michael, I know maybe was it me and you? We were debating the different timeline on that part. Like, I think a week is enough, but
Yeah, that would be the period between application close and snapshot vote open. Is that correct?
yes, so that's when
Yeah.
a week for us to go through the process and then post the snapshot, and then we'd have another week. Let me just put this down.
Yeah.
I have in my notes. So weeks 0 to 2, apps open. Week 2, apps close. Week 2 to 3, review of candidates. Weeks 3 to 4. Did you snapshot opened during weeks 2 to 3 during review of the candidates?
No, it would be after that.
So
we need a week to narrow down, those finalists.
Is the review of the candidates, is that from the committee or is that for everybody?
So you're going to do 2 weeks for the application process, 1 week for committee review, which is really like whoever shows up to review them, and then you would put it to snapshot for a week after that. Isn't that right? That's not how I'd see it.
Yeah, I mean the committee is basically us. Live fast. I mean,
yeah, I just for the notes because I wanted to make sure that I wrote it down right and not like give the wrong write the wrong thing.
Sure, no problem. So week 3 to 4 would be snapshot is open and available to vote for finalists. All right, and then I had are you streaming something?
Just the notes so that way you can see if anybody wants to follow along.
Oh yeah, thanks. I was doing the same thing. Yeah, so let's see. 0 to 2, apps open, apps close, community review, snapshot open. Okay. I put 48 out after the snapshot closes. I had 48 hours for the grantees to accept. Any objections to that? I mean, some people are saying give them 3 days. I think 2 days is enough. No objections? All right. Then we'll just do, yeah, you have 48 hours after the snapshot closes to actually accept. That's when we're going to send out like the, email them basically and request request that they accept and also request their wallet address. Because the wallet that's not in the application, right?
No, it's not.
Okay, that's what I thought. Well, maybe I'm just, this is a minor thing, but do you think, we should use Discord for sharing that info, or is email fine with you guys?
I think that we can tighten it up a little bit by basically reaching out to finalists instead of reaching out to the 3 cohort grantees. So when the screening committee selects the 15 finalists, they confirm inclusion in the snapshot vote by collecting their public address. And then they would have more time to respond, and we wouldn't be adding on another 2 days to the end. That way, like, basically once the vote goes through, we can just send it to them. You know what I mean?
Okay, so during the snapshot period, that's when we're making sure that all the finalists respond and acknowledge.
It would be during the committee review. Basically, if that's a 1 week period, we would select our finalists and send out emails to confirm that they're still available to be included as finalists.
Yeah, works for me.
And that would happen within that 1 week period. So maybe the task of the committee would be you have 4 days to select your finalists, and then there'll be a 3-day buffer where the finalists need to confirm and send us their public address. And then we can use that time to basically set up the snapshot vote.
And now I'm lost. Sorry, could you repeat that again?
So the week 2 to 3 of committee review, within that, 4 days of finalist selection, and then finalists are notified to respond with their public address in order to be included as a finalist. They have 3 days to respond, and during that 3-day period, we can write up the snapshot proposal.
So, okay. If they don't, let's say someone doesn't respond, then we'll just, before we
have to pick
finalize the
another
snapshot proposal.
Yeah, we have to pick another one. Or we just have a lesser number of people as finalists, which would be fine. Let's say we reach out to 20 people and we're okay with having only 15. If 5 people don't respond.
And okay, let's see.
Wouldn't that shorten the number at the time we have to review each application, because we also have to account for if we're giving every applicant 3 days to
Yeah,
respond.
that's what I was saying. Like we would have 4 days to select our finalists, and I was feeling like 1 week was like like we don't quite need that much time, as long as we know that that date is coming. We can, or whoever's on the committee can schedule their availability to like, I'm gonna do this on this date. It's like, I feel like kind of when we get work done here, it's like, okay, this work needs to get done this week. You didn't already schedule a time, but if it's scheduled in advance and you know when you need to be available to do this work, then 4 days is enough. Seems like enough time. Do you guys think it should be more?
Right? That really just gives us 3 days to just review everything, to allow for 4 days of people to respond back to us. That seems kind of tight,
Yeah, I'd like to keep it at a week personally, but
just because
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at it and it's like, it's more than a month between launching or announcing opening applications um, and distributing the grants. I mean, I guess that's fine, but
maybe after the first one, we can try and figure out a streamlined process to see how much time it actually took us. You know,
all right, because I feel like asking for more time is more difficult than not, or yeah, than like having too much time.
Sure.
It's like there are unknowns that might come up that during this first round, like, oh shoot, we got to actually do X, Y, and Z first, or I don't know.
Yeah.
We could always shorten it, like if we're if it's 4 days in and we feel like, okay, sweet, this these people have definitely stood out, we're ready to say, cool, let's put these on snapshot. Like, I'm fine with shortening it if we if we're that efficient, but I say at least keep it as a week because we don't know how many apps we're going to get. And also give the committee time to discuss and debate with each other over certain applications too. Sometimes when you're doing stuff, what's it called, like offline or not in a meeting, just to get a response, maybe it's a day, just to get a response or something, asynchronously. That's what yeah, you guys say.
Yeah.
So just to include those kind of time delays and things, I think a week is a good bet
Okay.
for the review.
Sure.
All right. But you're saying, so for all the finalists on Snapshot though, you want to get all their addresses, their
Yeah, I mean,
public
well, we want to
addresses.
confirm that they should be included as finalists, because if somebody just like haphazardly submitted an application just because they felt like whatever, they might not actually be ready to do that, so we want that confirmation before we bother putting them on the finalists. Like, hey, you've been selected
Yeah,
as a finalist. To confirm, please send us your public address.
yeah, that actually does make sense to me. I like it.
And so I was just thinking of putting that inside the committee review phase, but because like part of the work that needs to get done inside of that 1 week period is also writing up the snapshot proposal anyway, which we should allocate a couple of days to. And within those couple of days, that can be the period that finalists have to respond.
So include maybe like two days right after the week of committee review.
Yeah, if you want to add 2 days to it, then it'll be 9 days. Because like
Yeah, because that'll be
part of the work of committee review is like taking the applications that are your finalist applications and making some kind of a public view of them, whether that's like a document or just like directly in the snapshot proposal. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, so in that case, when the snapshot opens, so now let's say at this point it's the end of week 3 plus the 2 days if we need for a confirmation snapshot review. So now it's that day, and we want now the finalists are known, and do they still remain anonymous at that point, or because I thought we were going to do like the community, the AMA, where it's like, okay, now you're a finalist, you're allowed to engage and let people ask
Oh yeah,
questions
we were
to
gonna
make.
do that. Oh my god.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, are we still doing the AMA for finalists?
I think so. I think once
Okay.
you're a finalist, you at least have to, you
Yeah.
should be known
Yeah.
because you made it that far being completely anonymous, right? You made it
Well,
to the
no,
finals
because
without any extra bonus.
you're not anonymous to the screening committee. So if that's the case, then you're not anonymous at any point in the whole process.
Hmm.
Which is fine. I mean, it seemed like a lot of people wanted to know who the applicant is because if it was like a member of the community, they wanted to consider that.
Yeah, because I guess even if I got the data and I was able to strip the email address or something and then present like the public applications, which is what we were going to do, right?
Yeah.
To keep them anonymized, then
Yeah.
at least I wouldn't be able to be on the screening committee then because I have access to their Discord name and their email.
Well, the screening committee, yeah. Well, the screening committee was going to have access to all the data, all of the application data. And then what the screening committee presents to the public was just going to not include like their Discord handle and their email address. But if we do the AMA for finalists, then the public is going to need to know their Discord handle. That might be fine.
Shoot, I don't know how I didn't catch that before. That's definitely a big. Okay. Let's see. What's an alternative then? Like, is it possible to have an AMA without their Discord handle? Like, would it be, like let's say if we did it on Zoom instead of Discord or a Twitter space. Well, Twitter, it would be your Twitter handle, but at least on Zoom, you can choose your name. You could just put like application 1, and then people could ask you things on there. I know it's another platforms that adds complexity, but
I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's fine that their Discord handle is associated with their application. I mean, it seemed like a lot of people here wanted to do it that way, where people wanted to be aware of like who it was. That was some folks' preference expressed, like, but
okay, I'm gonna have to write that one down. Okay, AMA, conflict of anonymity. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about that one. But I just want to at least finalize the timeline. I know that might influence it a bit, but I think the timeline, no matter whether or not we do the AMA, should be roughly the same anyway, right?
Yeah, we would just have to do
So
it within the 1 week period. I mean, it kind of messes with the timeline because you don't necessarily want to open the snapshot until after the AMA happens.
Then you want AMAs to occur on weekends. So, I mean, if we're just adding more time. So just like address the finalist the following weekend, or yeah, it would probably be a weekend. You would just have the AMA for the finalists to just talk, and then after that, after starting the Monday after that weekend of the AMA, snapshot would open.
well, I guess my thought on it is if I'm involved in the community, I know there's an AMA coming up. I'm not going to vote on snapshot yet until I attend that or listen to the recording. But there are going to be plenty of people that vote that don't attend it and don't listen to the recording anyway,
Then you
right?
want to make, yeah. Do you want to make this snapshot 2 weeks then to include AMA?
Well, hold on. I mean, I wouldn't leave a snapshot up for weeks on end. I mean, you just do the AMA before people vote. You know.
Yeah, I think it has to be between that review and then opening the snapshot.
I think you just do the EMA during the during the review process, and maybe you can make the review process longer if you need to. But yeah, or you do the AMA with the final candidates who are up on Snapshot like the first day that Snapshot launches, which is probably really my preferred preference. But
That's yeah.
preferred preference. It's an interesting way to put it.
Huh.
So, yeah. I mean, that's what I would do. I would put it up because that way you'll get people voting because they'll be there for the AMA, right? So there's a nice little flywheel effect to that.
I like that personally. More of like what I was envisioning. It would be happening at the same time in some way. Okay, so let's see. Snapshot opens. Um, Snapshot is open for a week then, or should we? Is that too long? What are usually? How long are they usually open for? Isn't it about a week?
I do 5 days a lot, but I think in the most recent governance doc we didn't finalize. I mean, it says 7 days, right, Micah?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I would just keep it open for a week. We'll run it like Monday through Sunday or something.
Yeah, chance for finalists. Yeah, I'm looking in the doc right now, but anyway, that sounds right to me. Just keep it as a week, and let's see. So during the snapshot period, then, like while the snapshot is open, and when the AMA opens, right? So like when we have our finalists, should we just create a finalist like channel then?
Mm-hmm.
So anyone can ask the finalist stuff in that one channel.
Yeah. I like that. In that
What do you think,
case,
Hiro? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
in
Say
that
that one more
case,
time,
like
guys.
their handle would be on their application in the snapshot so that people would know how to ask them a question in Discord. Right?
Right. Yeah, I don't know if there is a way around that as far as the finalists remaining anonymous. It's hard. Seems like it'd be hard to do both, where you have an AMA, you have an open discussion, and also keep them anonymous. I don't know. Um, but I already have that down. If I can think of a way that it's not a super roundabout, like level of complexity just to do that. Is that still the ideal we should shoot for? That's in my head up until this moment. That was the ideal I was shooting for, but now I see that this is a major conflict here.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you guys not? Is it really not that important for the finalists to be anonymous? Like, if
I don't think it is.
because yeah, if
they'll
that's the case,
be
then
as anonymous as their Discord handle. So whatever their preference to being anonymous is will still be intact.
fair enough. I think just for simplicity's sake, let's say the AMA and the finalists will. You have to know their Discord handle. Then we can host the AMA in the Discord. And see. Finalists, yeah, snapshot closes.
So do we want to host the AMA before the snapshot vote opens, or do we want to open the snapshot vote and host the AMA on that same day?
Same day.
We open the snapshot vote like directly, same day, but immediately after the AMA, or should it already be open?
Probably already open.
Okay.
I think so too. I think I'd probably open it kind of like right before. I mean, it's a little awkward, but I think I'd like people to be able to vote during the AMA. I mean, I get why it would make sense to open it directly after as well, It's an interesting judgment call.
In the Discord announcement, right, when we're announcing the AMA and the snapshot is opening, that'll be in the same announcement. So if you know about one, you know about the other, right?
Sure.
So yeah, even if it opens, just so we don't have to have someone like waiting for like the thing to officially close and then so they can open the snapshot or something. I say just open it on the same day. If someone really is like super anxious to vote, even though they know about the AMA, why not let them? Well, once the snapshot closes, you're saying that we've already had the public address, we already have engagement confirmation from them. Then we don't need live fast. You have like that 48 hours. Like, we don't need that.
48 hours just for them to accept though. But
yeah, I think we just distribute within 24 hours of the snapshot closing. I mean, is that feasible? I know Bushi and Hiro, you guys have the actual multi-sig.
Tell me that again, bud. Sorry, again, I'm like half paying attention, half trying to ship something.
No problem. It's just a timeline. Like, once the snapshot closes, is 24 hours enough for you guys to authorize the distribution?
Yeah. Sure.
Cool.
I mean, is your real question, can we transfer 1.5 ETH to 3 people within 24 hours of snapshot closing?
Yeah.
Why don't we just make it like 48 hours just for
just
just to
give
save?
it 48 hours just in case. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, really.
There's usually no problems, but yeah, I'd rather 2 days rather than just one, just in case.
Do you still want the 48 hours to include grantee needs to accept that they won, or just like you just immediately just give them the money without an exception?
Is there an acceptance protocol as part of this I missed?
That was for accepting your position as a finalist. So by accepting being a finalist and being voted on, you are accepting that you're ready to receive the grant if they win.
Fair enough.
Right? And then we can just send it to them right off the bat.
Yeah, we'll probably always be able to do well before 48 hours, but maybe just 48 hours just for tech.
Yeah.
If we're gonna limit it to a time, then let's give it a little bit more time.
So
Yeah, just about setting expectations.
So walking back a little bit to the AMA, we have to give people time to like with their schedule to be available for that AMA, both the Dowpunk community for folks who want to show up and for the finalists. So even if we gave them lots of time, it's still not exactly fair to say you have to be here at this time to be eligible for the grant. So is that kind of a loose, like, do you have to be at the AMA to be eligible, or perhaps the AMA just gives you a better chance of getting voted on because you're there and available for people to ask you questions?
Well,
Yeah, well, right though, because I mean, by the time the AMA starts, you're already a finalist, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, so it's
so how
just
much?
a
We don't have to do
right.
a traditional AMA either. I mean, we can do like a text-based AMA where it's like people could drop in some questions or something, and then the person just replies back within a certain period of time. Have
Yeah,
you seen those before?
yeah.
I
But
haven't. Uh-uh.
that's like, it's just more reading though, and I'm personally not like a big like wanting to read a lot of Discord messages. So
Right.
You're too busy creating actual art, CB. Like I get it, dude. It's fine.
Well, for
I just have
whoever
a hard
has
time
an
catching.
actual question, can just tag that person in the Discord server, and then they'll get the response, and nobody necessarily needs to read through all of them. It's just like
Was
whoever
this
wants.
the AMA? Is this like before the grant or is this after the grant?
This is during the snapshot voting period.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I personally, I personally think like there's probably not going to be that much interest for people to like want to attend an AMA of a person that wants to get like a 1 ETH grant. I don't think that that's going to be all that exciting. So I guess we just have to just like what's our expectations with this? Are we trying to like, is it a spot for people to get clarification on a question that's like teetering them on a vote or not? Is that what we're trying to solve here?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it was just it was in the grants proposal that we ratified through DAO vote. So it was just like saying that there will be a community AMA for finalists. I think at the
Yeah,
minimum
maybe.
we can just have a Discord channel where it doesn't have to be a certain time, but people can just post their questions in there whenever they want.
Yeah, maybe we should do something like that. Something really easy and basic, but not like, yeah, like I agree with what you're saying. Like not time restricted in the sense that like everybody has to be present at the same time or place. Like let's just make it like if you have a question, then drop it in this channel before this date and you might get an answer.
I yeah, thinking about all the timing, and yeah, you're right. That actually would be pretty tough. But if we do have like a channel that just says, finalist AMA, where you can drop, and anyone can drop in questions. They say, applicant one, or just by their username, whatever. Here's a question, and then yeah, just keep it
Yeah, like tell me more
async.
about
Like,
the project that you talked about and how you're gonna do XYZ. Like just like explain that a little more or something. I could see people being engaged in that. Because really what I can see coming out of a group like this as well is potentially like alpha for cool new innovative things that people are working on. But yeah, like an AMA, like guided AMA, like an actual voice one might just be kind of boring and not worth the time, to be honest.
yeah,
At
I
least
know.
I not like pre-grant. I think at the end, I think it'll be worth it for sure because everybody will want to probably join on the journey a little bit and hear about like the good and the bad. But in the beginning, it's kind of like, well, there's not much to talk about other than like what their plan might be.
I don't want to
sure.
hear that like voice. Um,
Yeah, I agree too. But I could also see how some people would probably totally like I don't know, like not apply for the grant because of that, which maybe that's a good thing because maybe they're self-selecting at that point. But I have a
Like
few
shy
friends that are
away.
like, I have some
Yeah,
friends that are deathly afraid of sending like emails, which is weird. But
Well,
and
you
maybe those
know, if
people
you're
wouldn't
gonna
make it
be
in this space.
full-timed out, yeah, if you're gonna be full-timed out,
Yeah.
it's like you gotta know how to show up to a Discord voice chat.
So here's a hybrid, which I was kind of running around in my mind. So if we get all the the questions posted, like, hey, here, post all your questions for people, and then the screening committee will individually schedule time with the finalists, run through their questions. We can ask our own questions and post that voice um, chat or the voice results into the channel of, like, here was the finalist 1 interview, finalist 2 interview, that kind of thing, if
That'd
people
be a
do want to
lot.
hear their voice.
That'd be a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, maybe it's just me, but I want to talk to these guys. I mean, or girls. Just saying guys, like, neutrally, but I don't know. I kind
I
of want to
think
hear
it
the
would be
voice.
cool. Like it would act as a sort of a, not necessarily like a bot filter, but as like a, are you a real person really actually doing this, you know, and you're gonna show up and talk to us about it. Like maybe schedule a voice chat, you know, and not really have too much expectation for who shows up. But
Yeah. What if we just make it not mandatory, right?
yeah, it's not mandatory, and it could be like a fun and exciting way to engage the community in this process, you know,
Yeah, just set
and start to get,
apart.
yeah, just start to get like the DAO Punk voters and people just kind of involved and um,
Yeah, I
sparking
like
stuff
that.
up. I don't know.
I like that. I think if you made it like, okay, we schedule a voice chat that is like an informal, like AMA sort of vibe. And if you can show up, cool. If not, cool. And, potentially if you do show up, you could sway people one way or the other. And if you don't show up, maybe that also sways it. So kind of just leave the burden up to the person to decide.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
And
if
if
we
their
do,
application is strong enough, it's not like just because they're not there doesn't mean that, like, oh, they're not going to be considered. I mean, they also, people can still decide to like drop messages in general chat and be like, oh, I got to take my kids somewhere or whatever. I mean, there's
yeah.
lots of ways that people can still get around it.
So when we get these dates solidified, then we can make a server announcement with all the dates so that DAO punks know what date that AMA is going to be, and they can like RSVP if they want. And then in the respondent email for applicants, we can put that date in there so that they can schedule that. And then we'll confirm with them when we send the finalists our confirmation email, and we'll confirm with them that AMA date and not mandatory, but at least everyone will have sufficient time to plan on being there if they want to.
yeah, so I'm a finalist now. I receive an email saying, hey, there's going to be this time to do, a live voice AMA, and there's also going to be this channel where I can just write responses to people's questions about my application, right? Or no?
Wait, sorry, could you repeat that?
So I'm a finalist now. I'm just pretending like I'm a finalist. There's going to be, like the finalist AMA channel in the Discord where people can ask all sorts of questions. So I can respond in writing if people have questions about my application. And I've also been given a date where I can actually appear and do, a voice AMA, like
Yeah,
actually like, live voice discussion.
yeah. I think that the voice chat AMA would be on the first day that Discord channel is created, because it'll be the first day that the snapshot is opened. So like the creation of that channel will commence with a voice chat AMA, right?
Yeah, it sounds right to me. Yeah, should we do like a once we get the finalists, just shoot out a let us meet in the in the email, the welcome email thing, so we can get an idea of what's best?
I think we should just schedule it because we already have a pretty hard schedule, and we know that we want that AMA to be on the first day that Snapshot opens.
True. Maybe, okay, how about at least
Well,
two
for us.
options?
Do you mean to let us meet
We
between
have,
us?
like you have your morning and your night session on the same day the snapshot opens. You have, where it could just be a time zone issue, and maybe you want to do the vocal AMA, but you can't. So I mean, should we at least have two, like 6 hours apart?
Or we could just say, like, if you can't make it and you really want to, let us know and we'll schedule another one if there's enough interest.
All right. Yeah, if there's enough interest, or even if it's just an individual, like, I don't mind jumping on, reading some of the questions. Let's say people are posting questions in there and they want to be able to clarify, like, and do a voice AMA or something, like, sure, I can, just moderate if you are, just like, I don't know what the word is, but interview. But maybe you're right. Maybe it'd only be, one person that can't make it but also wants to do it. Might be none. So
yeah,
I think you're right. We just set up a time, take it from there. All right. So where are we at now? Okay, snapshot closes, snapshot distribution. Okay, so now after the distribution, I was going through the doc that it was, I think, shoot, I just had it pulled up. Sorry, I think was it 4 or 5 weeks, and then that's when the Coordinape begins. Shit, sorry. It was right here. Do you guys remember?
what did you say?
What did you say?
The
So the
cohort
entire
period is 6 weeks, and the Coordinape round was going to be 3 weeks in.
Yeah, so the entire duration is 6 weeks. That's definitely in the doc. I think we're all on board with that. I was just trying to find when. Let's see, that's like, was that in the doc though, with like the 3 weeks thing?
Yes.
I'm just trying to find it. Oh, it is. Okay. Cool. Because, okay, I'm looking at, so this is the ratified doc. It's page whatever. It's the Milestone Reward Assessment. It says Coordinape will be used to determine blah blah blah. Coordinate round will open at the beginning of week 4 and will be open until the end of the cohort. The extended round will enable participants to share their story and ensure the community has ample time to get to know them and ask questions before the final allocation, which is at the end of the 6 weeks.
Oh, the final
That's how I
allocation
remember.
is at the end of the 6 weeks. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So you're talking about having the Coordinape open for 3 weeks?
For 2 weeks.
For weeks 4 and 5?
Yeah, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, right.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, it seems like a really long time for a Coordinape round that people will forget, but maybe we can just remind them. What do you guys think?
I feel like it's a long time to spread out the distribution. Like they get half up front and then they have to wait another 6 weeks for the other half. Like I thought it was you get half up front and you wait 3 weeks for the next half.
Yeah, I mean, similarly, I thought it was like have the 3 weeks run, do Coordinape in a week 4, and then pay at the beginning of week 5. But
oh, okay.
I don't. I mean, or you could run Coordinape at week 3. Like I'm not. It might be a little short though, right? I mean, the problem is we're trying to compress stuff into an arbitrary 6 week window, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think regardless, I wouldn't run Coordinape for longer than a week.
Okay, I think that's fair, but at the same time, I think at 3 weeks, like, are we really gonna be able to determine if they deserve the second payment or not? And if so,
3 weeks.
what
Yeah, it's going to be challenging.
what's your incentive to finish? I guess, yeah. Other than your own drive, which hopefully we're picking those people, but
gotta pick those people, Yeah. Well, I guess for me, I'd run it in week 4, then allocate at the beginning of week 5.
Unfortunately, I don't think if the grant document is ratified, I don't think we could change it right now.
Oh, that's true. What does the doc say?
It says literally in section 5, Coordinape will be used to determine the amount of funding to each participant for the second distribution. The Coordinape round will be open at the beginning of week 4 and will be open until the end of the cohort. So I think this is just one of those lessons we'll learn.
I remember we definitely debated this for a bit before ratifying that too. So if it's something,
guys, I gotta run and go look for a cooler real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but I would just say if the grants framework said it's open for 4 to 6 weeks, like that's what it is.
Yeah, I say let's just do it that way.
Learned, and we need to change that.
But we will learn so much about this. It'll be fine.
It'll be all good. I'll be back in a sec.
Cool. But yeah, that way that you have, from the day you get a grant, you have a month to get your work in, do whatever you need to do, and then at week 4, that's like your milestone checkpoint. You have to, the community wants to know, like, hey, how are we gonna allocate these last funds? And basically the idea was that if you're way off track at week 4 and you could see people are further ahead of you, and you want to use those last 2 weeks to try to get in your really push yourself, try to stand out or hit your milestone that you set for yourself. I think that was the idea behind it, but I don't really remember saying, oh, we're going to distribute half in the beginning and then half midway through. That's not how I remembered it.
It's written here multiple times at the end. So,
yeah, Miles. Yeah, okay, because that's what I was working off of.
Yeah, 50 proposal to simple payment, 50% upfront and 50% milestone payment at the end of 6-week cohort as determined by Coordinape give round. We could, I guess as part of like their exit interview, we could just say how they felt about the
the process.
Yeah, of like, do you feel that like maybe it shouldn't be 50% upfront, maybe it should be 50, 25, 25 and 25 at the halfway mark. We can there could be an exit interview for this.
Oh yeah, that's definitely happening, no doubt. That's part of the doc as well. It's just, tell us about how it was.
Yeah,
how
I
it
kind of
went.
think like the first grants proposal that we're working with now, it was crafted with like the idea of us having more involvement in their process. And like now that we're backing off a little bit and we're sort of expecting them to have a really solid plan. And I don't know, we might change it to just giving them the full amount up front. But for future, but like you said, we'll see how it goes, and we'll just adhere to the grants proposal as it is. All right.
Yeah, I said let's just do it. I mean, I know we're all treating this like this is one and done, and we only have one shot and it's over. But we do have to remember that once we get this out and see how it goes, like at the end of the day, we are giving away money, and we are trying to help people achieve their goals based on the timeline and the rules that we set. So if they want to get this grant, that's just the way that this particular game has been set up. Doesn't mean that it has to be that way permanently forever in the future cohorts, but for now, these were the rules, and you play the game.
Yeah, for the record, I never thought it was one and done. I mean, I recognize some of the sentiments like that, but obviously we've got enough treasury to keep this going, and I feel like we all also are recognizing that this is our beta run. So, it's going to be great when we learn some stuff.
Yeah, and that, like you said, of course, might be options to get funding from other, like I know we both like whatever the hell GiveTheParrot, but my point is this doesn't have to be perfect. I think we go with what's already been decided, we make it happen, and we just learn from it. It's at the end of the day, we're still giving people money.
Sorry, guys, what did I just miss? That sounded important.
Just going through and reiterating the distribution schedule and why we should maybe in future cohorts change it to bigger up front and then maybe 2 payments, like one after 4 weeks and one it's they're just different options. But Michael, did you want to bring up anything summarized for Hiro? Or yeah, I mean, we were just basically going over different options for future cohorts, but for now we were coming back full circle into saying, look, we've got the grant stock ratified, these are the rules of the game, we're here to just make it happen, see what happens, and then make adjustments for the future. That's pretty much it. And then yeah, part of that is getting the exit interview, sort of getting feedback from these guys at the end, and from the grantees themselves, what did you like, what didn't you like, let's see what happens. Where were we? Okay. Oh yeah, the Coordinape begins week 4, ends week 6. Okay. And I think that's pretty much the whole timeline. Everything after that is just between cohort 0 and cohort 1. Maybe we missing any important checkpoints here? I think that's.
Let's see. So I'm copying this. I'm writing this out into the Git book, Grants Program Handbook, Coordinator's Guide to Cohort 0 right now. And instead of doing weeks, I'm doing days because some parts are less than a week. So just to walk through it, pre-launch DAO community announcement with timeline, including the finalist AMA date for RSVP and the snapshot periods, so that DAO holders can prepare, can know and prepare for that. Day 0 is launch. Applications open. Application respondent email includes dates for when they should expect to confirm inclusion as a finalist, the date for the finalist AMA, which they can RSVP in the server, the funds distribution date, and the cohort timeline. So all of that is included in the respondent email. And an announcement for launch is made in the Discord server and on Twitter. Day 14, application closes. Screening committee selects 20 finalists. Day 21, screening committee has 7 days to select 20 finalists. Day 21, finalists are notified by email and given 48 hours to confirm their interest in the grants program by sending us their public address. Public display of finalist applications is created by the screening committee and snapshot proposal is written. Day 23, snapshot vote opens. Community AMA with finalists. Discord finalist channel is created for community feedback. Day 30, snapshot vote closes. Cohort 0 grantees are announced. Day 32,
it
funds
begins.
are distributed. Cohort 0 begins. Okay, yeah, day 32, cohort 0 begins, funds are distributed. Okay, so after the day that cohort 0 begins, we create a Discord channel for each grantee.
Oh yeah.
And what is the next date of interest after cohort 0 begins?
Day 51.
Day 51.
Which is
The Coordinape Milestone Reward Assessment.
Okay.
That's the start of
Okay, that is that. So I'm trying to do that math in my head. How many days after day 32?
21. 3 weeks. A full 3 weeks is 21 days. So the start of week
Okay.
4.
So day 53.
50. How did you get 53?
32 plus 21.
Oh shit! I can't do math.
So maybe this is better. We're gonna do. This is the timeline for grant. Let's see. The timeline for cohort selection ends at day 32, and then we begin another day 0. Day 0, cohort 0 begins.
oh okay.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll figure out a way of wording that so it makes more sense. But I feel like that'll be easier to understand because then we can have day 0 of cohort 0.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the clock resets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess the Coordinape milestone, that 3-week point, I guess I got lost in there. Was that, I thought we were talking about at week 4 that starts, but
it starts at beginning of week 4, so technically it would be on the day 22.
Depending on how you count it, but
oh,
well, if
okay, I
Monday
see
is
what
the
you're saying.
beginning of week 1, 2, 3, right, 2 weeks, 14 days. It would be 21 days. It'd still be 21 days. 21 days after Monday is Monday, the beginning of week 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Because then, okay, so the way I was reading it for Coordinape was it was just a 2-week, so it would be like 4 to 5 and 5 to 6. But you're saying it'd be 3 to 4, 4 to 5.
No, you were right the first time. It's beginning of 4 to 5, 5 to 6.
Right, but if it's only 2 weeks from day 21, that's only 5 weeks. You see what I'm saying? I think that'd be the beginning of week 6.
Sorry, let me. I just heard you, and I comprehended it. I'm looking back. Beginning of week 4. Yeah, it said okay. It specifically says beginning of week 4, and will open until the end of the cohort. I'm gonna just copy this specific statement. Do we? Oh shit! Do we? When does 4 to 5? This is gonna be. Oh man, this is gonna sound really stupid because I can't. Like I'm an adult and I don't know basic math. When we say 6 weeks, do we go to we at the start of beginning of week 6 or the end of the 6th week?
I know, that's why I got
I'm so
confused there too.
Well, if you say week 6, it's the beginning of week 6. But if you say you have 6 weeks, then that would be, 6 weeks. Yeah, that's kind of what makes this a little bit confusing.
So the entire duration is 6 weeks. So meaning it would be a total of 42 days, right?
Yeah, so the Coordinape is open for 3 weeks, so you have 21 days. 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and then 6 to you have 7 days from 6.
Yeah, I mean,
That makes sense.
that does seem long, like, to what Hiro was saying, like,
It's lesson learned.
but I'm just trying to figure out if that was just from an accidental, a math standpoint. Because obviously I know Myco and I were there back when we were ratifying this. Like, I'm going to go back into the Discord, like
This is why
written discussion and notes.
This is why I'm laying out the timeline in days. So here's how I understand it. Day 21 is Coordinape begins, check up AMA, and then day 42, the second half of the funds are distributed.
And I'm sorry, day what?
Day 21, Coordinape begins. Day 42, the second half of the funds are distributed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My
And
only
that's the end of the
thing was that
6-week period of cohort 0.
right. My only thing was the intent originally when we ratified the document, because I feel like you can read it both ways, where 4 weeks from 4 to 6, the Coordinape was only supposed to be open for 2 weeks, or was the intent to do it at the midpoint?
At the end of participants are funded for the 6 weeks. It is intended that at the end of 6 weeks, the participant will have developed a sustainable work-life balance. So yeah, 41 days.
Which is weird that, like, if by the end of 6 weeks they're expected to have a sustainable income, and that's when we give them the second half, it's like we should have given them the second half sooner, because if you know what I mean.
Kind of, but at the same time, when you are starting a job, you don't always get paid up front. You get paid after you work for a week or two, and then then payroll starts.
Mm-hmm.
But I did find the notes back from January that it does say the coordinate round was end of week 3, beginning of week 4. So no, you guys are right.
Okay.
It should start on day 22 or whatever.
So on that day, we open the Coordinape round, and we do a community AMA with the grantees, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Cool. And
should we space that out a little bit, or no? Or is that what's in the doc?
do we want to do multiple community AMAs to, like you were saying, give somebody a chance to catch up if they they do the day 21 AMA and, like, the community's like, you're really slacking, I don't know, and it gives them a chance to catch up or something, like you were saying. I don't know. It's like we're not really trying to herd them too much, but yeah, we're just, like you said, we're just working off of the ratified grants proposal and trying to implement
Yeah,
that as best
because I
we
mean,
can.
what when you set a timeline, let's when you're doing the grant, like I'm an applicant, right? When I apply, I'm going to give you guys a timeline for what I think I can accomplish in 6 weeks. If by week 3 I realize that none of them are accomplished, and the community sees that, then I'm going to realize that, oh, I have to really pick up the pace here if I want to get a bigger chunk of that second distribution. At least That's what I'm reading from the notes back, in January. And like you said, I mean, that's what we have in there. So let's just build it and do it, then learn from it, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see exactly what to write in here on the timeline. So day 21, Coordinape Circle opens, community AMA. And then are we going to do another community AMA 1 week later or 2 weeks later or something?
Well, I feel like that one, it should be, we should, for that, don't you think we should try to schedule it, for each, there's only going to be 3 grantees, right?
Mhm.
Shouldn't we have one discussion for each
Oh,
based on their availability?
yeah, but
I
then
mean,
are
they can
you
always
gonna
asynchronously.
who do you want, like, when you're expecting the community to show up for 3 different runs? I mean, you know what might be more actually, okay, here's an idea. The AMA could be the podcast interview because we already are allocating our, labor resources to doing podcast interviews with each cohort member. So if we do a mid-cohort podcast interview and we have some questions already laid out that the interviewee is going to ask, it's a little bit more intimate. It's a little bit like that might be a lot of pressure for somebody to go on trial to like the whole community to throw a bunch of questions at them to see if they're performing adequately, but if it's more of just like a one-on-one little interview that's like friendly with somebody who knows how to be friendly in an interview and just kind of has some questions to get a feel for like, how are you doing? How's this going? Like, do you need any help? What's your experience been like so far? How crazy is it for you diving into the DAO sphere? Like, do you have any feedback on ways that we can improve stuff as a whole DAO like community? Blah blah blah. Like that could suffice, right? And the community can listen to that podcast and distribute their Coordinape give tokens, kind of according to like that podcast interview, instead of doing like a big open community AMA again and expecting community members to show up for all of those. What do you think, Hiro?
I agree.
Are you still planning on doing those interviews? Have you been developing any thoughts on that?
All right, I assume this question's for me. Yeah, I got a 4-year-old climbing on my back. He wants to say hi, so I'm sorry. No, I haven't thought about it at all, and neither has anybody else. And so, I mean, just to be honest, right? So, like, no big deal.
Yeah.
And so the question that I would have, so here's where we are in the podcast. So we've done 2 of them. We're going to take next week off, and then do them weekly for a while. I think we'll probably ship the next one next week or the week after. So we can just slate these folks in like whenever, right? And we can workshop questions that we want to do. I would probably want to do 20 to 25 minutes per person, do all 3 of them, and then put them all in one episode.
Yeah.
Wait,
that would be ideal.
Did you launch a DAO Punk podcast already?
Well, we have 2 interviews. We did the second interview yesterday, and then we're just working on. Yeah, I mean, so we have like 8 or 10 guests lined up already, and
wow,
there's more
dude,
coming.
that's so cool. But
That's awesome.
is it live?
And the intro. No, not live yet. So it
Okay.
hasn't been.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't see that.
I think we probably ship it like, at the end of next week or the following week, but we're pretty close. And so to ship, we just need. So we have intro and outro music. We have the text. I'm sorry, the audio. That's working on getting edited and then processed. And then there's just whatever else needs to be done to get that dialed in. But yeah. So that's where we are. So like it's going to be really like we're really close for it to being like a repeating bi-weekly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah. So like we're finally there after months of finding out how to get there.
badass.
This shit takes more work than you imagine. Like, it's just hard to
Dude.
coordinate humans, right?
For sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we're in the groove now. We got, like I said, like probably about 8 or 10 people lined up for interviews, and maybe that's too much. Maybe it's 6 or 8 or something, but like whatever the case, people lined up and ready to go.
So what do you think about this idea? You want to do a mid-cohort interview with each separate grantee, that with the goal of like checking in to see how they're doing. DAOpunk community members will listen to that interview and allocate their give tokens according to their perspective of that interview.
And whatever.
Why don't we time? Well, so let's see here. We can just time. Well. So what we got to think about is that. Okay, so timing wise, hey, seriously, chill, babe. Is we probably need like a week in order to process everything and get it ready to ship. Like after the interviews are all done. So we'd probably want to do interviews like in week 2, and then release the podcast at the beginning of week 4, right when Coordinate opens, like right around the same time as you would presumably do a second AMA. Although I understand that you're talking about having this as a separate AMA. But yeah, sorry guys. My apologies for being distracted.
No. I think this was supposed to be like in lieu of a second AMA. Let's see.
Yeah, it's
Well-
tough because of the labor it takes to process and ship the podcast. It's like if you do the interview, you do 3 separate interviews sometime within week 2, that's pretty close to the beginning of cohort 0. It's not like enough time to really assess like how like the progress that they've made. What we're trying to look at halfway into cohort 0.
I'm fine with them starting week 3 and then getting it out as soon as they can, because you can change your give allocation with Coordinape. Like if you're leaning one way and you see, when they do release it, maybe it's in week 4 or 4.5 or whatever, or I'm sorry, week 5 or 5.5. By the time when it's actually published, and then I see a really compelling interview, then I can reallocate my give. It's not like it's permanent.
Yeah. I mean, and it is kind of a lot of a commitment to do 3 separate interviews and have these 3 separate podcasts, or maybe you can do the 3 separate interviews asynchronous and then put them together into one podcast release.
Correct.
That's what he was saying. Yeah.
Okay, right. And then that would be a public podcast release. And would it be easier if it was just like not necessarily on the public podcast, but rather just like an interview with the grantees, like less? It doesn't need to be as high quality. Like, is that content that we actually
Polished.
want to be a DAOpunks podcast episode? I guess that's the question.
I mean, not necessarily, right? But if depending on how it goes, it could be. So I would say bookmark that, and we'll do it. And then if we think that it fits within the framework of what we're doing, with the ethos of what we're doing, which in some ways it does. I mean, it would be different than the programming that we're doing anyway, right? But yeah, I don't know. I would say let's not worry about that, and we'll figure it out. Either way, we'll do the interview, and we'll get it all dialed in, and we'll ship it. And whether it's part of the DAOpunks podcast that we're calling web free, or if it's
like internal,
or if it's internal for our just to distribute to the DAOpunks and the channels, like that's fine. But either way, we'll take the laboring oar and get her done.
Word. Okay, but that'll be our plan. Is that at some level, the podcast team is going to interview our grantees, and that's what we're going to use for our Coordinape circle, as well as the
one
as well as the
aspect,
individual channels.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
And then then the rest of the timeline is just Coordinape, closes at the end, and then the final distribution, and then the final exit interview. So I guess in the explainer, because I'm just kind of trying to put that together now. I'll just put that in summary. They're going to do a grantee. If you're actually receiving the grant, you'll have an interview of some sort, or like an AMA, I should say. When you're a finalist, you'll have an AMA at around week 3. I'm sorry, around week 4, and then you'll have the final exit interview at the end of week 6. So there's like three checkpoints for them essentially, right? Now, I'll just start saying days instead of weeks for clarity.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Yeah.
Yeah, because that way, like the whole point of the explainer doc before you actually fill out the application is so you know exactly what the timeline and expectations are. So if we lay out the dates, if we lay out the expectations of doing these AMAs or whatever you want to call them, I feel like that should be in the explainer doc. So it's they're accepting that by accepting the grant.
Okay, so we're talking about they're doing a interview at week 2 or an interview at week 3? An interview at week 3, right? And then, okay, so day 21, DAOPunk's podcast interview, and maybe Hiro, like what we can do for that is release the full interviews internally, and then you guys for your Web3, like you can just kind of cut interesting tidbits out of those interviews and like put them together to the final podcast or something. And then the internal release would be like take less time and labor to just do the interview and then release the audio files.
Oh yeah, so that you were saying, yeah, for the purposes of evaluating via Coordinape, it would be the raw, interview, and then if they want, for the podcast, they can just pull out interesting answers.
Yeah.
But we'll let them decide when we get to it. There's no reason to like hammer that now, is there?
No. Just trying to make it less effort, so they can just release those interviews to DAOPunk community for the Coordinape circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds good. So do we still want? Yeah. So we don't need to schedule a community AMA voice chat anywhere at all, or do we still want to do that?
The only like big, the open group one was supposed to be pre-launch, like but right when the snapshot opens, that's when we were going to have like an open opportunity.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, I still want to do one, then for sure.
You want to do a community AMA voice chat 3 weeks into cohort 0?
No, I want to do it like day 1 and the day snapshot launches.
Okay,
right,
for the finalists for the vote.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
so
then,
we'll just do
I
that.
would want to do an AMA at the end, for sure, or like around week 5 or something.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe like it'd be cool like they receive their final payout and then we do an AMA and that like AMA will be the final kind of closure for everybody, the
Yeah.
closing ceremony, so to speak.
Totally.
They could talk about their accomplishment,
Yeah.
hopefully. But
So
all
on
right, guys. Well, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I gotta run.
Yeah.
I only had about an hour and a half, so.
Yep.
Take care of it. All right, guys. I got to bounce too, actually.
Yeah,
But,
totally.
But a lot of progress. If you guys want to do another one, depending on where this thing got left, and I'm not really quite sure, I'll review Live Fast. Thanks for your notes. I'll review those. What else we got to do before we launch? Do we have one more week of cleanup to do before we launch?
Yeah.
Yeah. We gotta get the web stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
web
then we'll just-
integration. There's if you guys want to like check out the table in Notion, there's still like the progress board in there. I think we need to clean up the Git book a little bit. Stubbs put some effort in there. I put some effort in there. And it just needs to get polished up. So
Yeah, I'm gonna
that
work
can
with
be
you
like
on
our
that too.
public. That'll basically be the explainer. And I think there's enough content in there. It just needs to get cleaned up a little bit.
That's
Right.
what I mean. That's where I was seeing the explainer. It should be in the Git book. So
Yep.
that way it's all just cohesive. It flows. You know, I'm gonna work with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll just reconvene on Thursday and keep on plugging away. I have on my task list to go and clean up the disclaimer that's going to go. So I saw that today, so I'll take care of that. Do you guys want me? And then I will also make sure I talk with the podcast team about doing that. I've actually already dropped him a DM. Do I have anything else on my list to do?
If you could upload yesterday's meeting, that would be fantastic.
I know that audio. It's sitting downstairs on another computer. I'll upload that today.
Cool.
Anything else?
Nice. I think we're good.
I think that's it.
Are you still recording?
Yeah.
I was gonna say like Hiro, if you just want to respond to my DM.
Okay, I'll take a look at that too. I'm sorry, I'm way behind on DMs this morning.
No worries.
All right. Take care.
Okay, awesome. Cheers,
All right,
friends.
guys. See you later.
Cool.
Bye.
Yeah, CB, just give me those the domain host credentials.
Yeah, you just need access to the DNS records, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it's so Red Van has the DNS access.
Okay.
I just need to talk to Red Van.
Okay. All right, cool.
Alrighty.
Take care, guys.
All right, guys. See ya.